The Witcher 2 was perhaps one of the most critically overlooked games of 2011. With many RPG gamers looking forward to the release of the Elder Scrolls V Skyrim, this PC-only release was lost in the hyperbolic praise of Bethesda's role-playing juggernaut during the end-of-the-year awards. So, in 2012, CD Projekt Red has released an Enhanced Edition, which hit the Xbox 360, making it the first entry in this series to grace a console. And owners of the original PC iteration got all 10 GB of additional content for free. This content includes all the patches which added extra quests and fixed a couple of questionable design choices, adds entirely new quests, and cutscenes to flesh the game's narrative out. The Enhanced Edition opens up with a rousing new cutscene depicting the assassination of Demivin, King of Erden. Upon starting the game, you'll take control of the Witcher Geralt, who is aiding King Foltest in a military endeavor to reclaim his bastard children. Success comes, but the victory is short-lived as Foltest is snuffed out and Geralt is blamed for his demise. From here, the narrative takes off as Geralt hunts down Foltest's assassin simply to clear his own name. Amidst the hunt for the Assassin of Kings, political turmoil unfolds as Geralt seeks details on his lost love Yennefer. It's a top-shelf fantasy RPG narrative. It's structured like a great season of a television show. There are 3 big narrative threads that are explored, and as the game progresses, the narrative progression is steady for each thread. Like a television show, the game ends with some elements of the narrative resolved, while others are escalating and awaiting a sequel. The world of The Witcher is dark and morally ambiguous, which makes the element of choice the player is given extraordinarily satisfying. Making choices in The Witcher 2 is not about being a good Witcher or a bad Witcher, it's about what you, the player, see fit to do. While BioWare's games are top-notch, relegating in-game choices to a binary moral scale diminishes the impact of many decisions. Also, the choices in The Witcher 2 do have an impact on the events of the game, a significant impact. A choice you make at the end of the first chapter completely changes your perspective on the second chapter. The quest line completely changes, so you'll want to play this game at least twice to get the full effect, and, depending on how dedicated you are, maybe several more times. The narrative plays out over a prologue, 3 chapters, and an epilogue. The 3 chapters make up the bulk of the game, and each is confined to a single location. There is no way to travel back to previous locations once the chapter concludes. The final chapter of the game is rather short though, and it doesn't seem as though there is nearly as much to explore compared to the previous chapters. But it does host some of the best quests in the game. This is a narrative-driven game, and it wants you to move forward. Many players used to games like the Elder Scrolls or Gothic series may be upset by this, but the narrative greatly benefits from this rigid structure, and it's hard to make a case for a more open format. Each locale is loaded with side quests, and very few of them feel like obnoxious chores, a problem that plagues many other RPG experiences. The side quests mix in some character development, world building, and humor, generally enriching the core experience. There are 2 very compelling reasons, aside from narrative elements, to do all the side quests in a location. The first is that resources in The Witcher 2 are very limited. Unlike most modern RPGs, you can't really grind for money. Reselling items, gear, and raw materials net such a small portion of the item's original value that it's not worth doing for the sake of recouping your money. You will have to carefully decide what you craft and what you should buy, since simply buying the gear that you want will quickly deplete your coffers. The second reason to do all the extra quests is to drink in the staggeringly beautiful world that The Witcher 2 offers. The Witcher 2 set a new graphical benchmark with its richly detailed and carefully crafted world. You really have to search hard for an ugly texture. Everything from the biggest building to the smallest environmental prop is detailed and rendered with care. One of the standout quests in the 3rd chapter takes you to a mage's laboratory that is filled with trinkets, equipment, and murals. It's dimly lit with sinister stones protruding from the walls. Not since being blown away by pre-rendered backdrops in Resident Evil 2 or Final Fantasy VII on the PlayStation have I cared to drink in all the details of a game's environment. Acquiring new armor is rewarding even if the stats aren't a significant improvement over what you have, just because the detail put into it is so fantastic. It's a shame that the facial animations don't quite match the graphical leap forward. They are by no means bad, but they are decidedly current gen in a game that otherwise gives us a glimpse of what we can look forward to visually in future games. Combat in The Witcher 2 has been massively overhauled from the first game. Geralt can lay traps, use rudimentary magics, and is an accomplished swordsman. Even if you don't focus on leveling, spellcasting, or using traps, Geralt is still competent enough to make use of those abilities. Some will see the lack of opportunity to really build a Geralt to their personal style, but this is a consequence of the character's lore. You still place skill points in the appropriate trees to buff the abilities of your choice, but you don't really spec into an archetypical fantasy class. When it comes to wielding his blades, Geralt has two swords, a silver blade for monsters and a steel blade for humans. He can parry and counter, so timing your attacks is key. Certain traps are more effective for some enemies, and magic is a mix of healing, buffing, and attacking. It's quite a repertoire, and you're left with no shortage of tactical options. Fortunately, a tutorial was added in the Enhanced Edition to help players come to grips with Geralt's skills and abilities. One rather irritating quirk of the combat is the fact that Geralt can only use potions outside of battle, so this can turn some encounters into a trial and error affair. You often have to fail in battle to see what potions may be worth using. It never makes the game annoying, it just makes alchemy feel pointless. Combat requires some skill and forethought, but shouldn't be too taxing to a competent gamer, and generally proves rewarding. To better showcase the combat, the Enhanced Edition also includes an arena mode. This does a great job of mixing up enemies and provides a nice challenge. Those who take up arms in the arena and succeed will be rewarded with special gear. It's a mode that some will gravitate towards and others may ignore or simply not enjoy, but it's a welcome extra and the rewards are worthwhile. Also included in the Enhanced Edition is a short animated summary of the events in The Witcher, which will certainly help players who didn't experience the first game catch up. Even if you fail to watch this, the narrative stands well enough on its own. The Witcher 2 was a great game with a few annoying flaws. The Enhanced Edition addresses many of these, and goes above and beyond with meaningful new in-game content. It's packed with new cutscenes, and the new quests are some of the best in the game. The structure is rigid when compared to some other RPGs, but it boasts a stronger, more direct narrative as a result. The ability to make choices in the game is enriching and adds tremendous replay value, and the visuals will whet your appetite for what future games will look like. The combat is solid, though the alchemy system is quirky to the point of being almost pointless. None of the flaws present will stay for you long after you complete this game though. It's likely to be more concerned with what CD Projekt Red has in store for us with its next Witcher release.